Hey, hi, how are you? My name is Felt, and welcome back to some Magic the Gathering, and our villain arc continues today in Standard. This is going to be like the last Standard video before one drop, one being for Exile will be one, and I'm going to basically show off a scourge of the format that might honestly still be powerful going forwards. It might get some, like, powerful new cards in it, or it might fall off really hard, but either way, it's a deck that really ruled this last, like, portion of Standard, and I just kind of want to show it off. It is the Mono Blue Tempo Draw Go deck, essentially. The idea of the deck is that you play a ton of counter magic in Syncopates, and Make Disappears, and Negates, and in Urza's Rebuffs. Urza's Rebuffs can be replaced with Dissipates. Urza Rebuff does help in the more aggro matchups, though, because you can use it to tap down opponent's creatures in place of just countering spells. Use at your own discretion. The other portion of the deck is a tempo deck, you know? You use Fading Hopes to bounce creatures. You just get a bunch of cards in hand with Impulse and Consider. There's for Discovery to super refill your hand. And Flow of Knowledge for when you're really late in the game, you just get to draw a ton of cards. And then discard 2. Tolarian Terror is a really powerful onboard threat that a lot of decks will have a problem dealing with because it is Ward 2 and is a 5/5 and can be played for essentially 1 mana if you are allowed to just kind of play Arclight Phoenix style, where you just play a bunch of cards, throw a bunch of stuff in your graveyard, and then, oh, okay, well, I can play a 1-cost Tolarian Terror who's a 5/5 with Ward 2 and hold up a counterspell. Not to mention the star of the deck, the Haughty Djinn, the terrifying blank 4 flyer. The blank in the power category is however many instants and sorceries are in your graveyard. And instants and sorceries you cast cost 1 less to cast. The general game plan of this deck, for those of you who don't know, is you essentially just kind of slow your opponent down up until about the point in time when you have either 4 or 5 lands on board. Then you will play Haughty Djinn, and you will use his reduction to protect him with stuff like Make Disappear, Negate, and Urza's Rebuff. You'll be able to play around the idea of, okay, well, I just have to pay less for my counter magic. Stuff like Syncopate also helps with that, because technically X can be 1, even if you only pay 1 blue, because Haughty Djinn's 1 cost reduction does apply to cards with X value. You can play it for X equals 1 and tap a single blue, or you can play it for X equals 2 and tap 2 blues. You get the idea. It is still reduced by 1, even though it is an X cost. That is something I've seen people kind of flub up a few times when playing this deck, is that you can play it for X equals 1 when you only have 1 open mana. It can be pretty useful in that regards. Overall, this deck is pretty controlling, very tempo-oriented, and it's a deck that I grew to loathe in my time trying to climb the ladder this set. Because it is just very powerful, it is very easy to pilot, and it is very cheap, so it is very accessible. As you can see, I believe we are... Okay, so that's common, uncommon, common, rare, uncommon, common. There is 1 set of 4 rares, and the only uncommons are Thirst for Discovery and Fading Hope and Flow of Knowledge. It is a very accessible and easy to craft deck, and so because of that you saw it a lot for quite a bit there. It kind of fell off a little bit because people really liked going for mono black, but this deck holds its own against mono black very well as long as you are allowed to land a Djinn on the board and keep tempo rolling. You do have to be very careful into decks like Shieldred because you do draw a bunch of cards, so you will probably just kill yourself on her triggers. Either way, let's get started. Let's hop into this gameplay, and let's get the last video pre-1 release underway. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and all that stuff. You're cool if you really do that. Let's hop into it. Alright, I'm on the play. This hand's okay. I don't have any way of redrawing cards, but I do have some Make Disappears. We're just gonna hope that this goes well. There's a really real chance that this goes poorly. I should have probably mulled for some card draw in place of just double counterspell, but double counterspell is kind of hard to pass up right now. Especially into a world of mono red aggro. There it is. Their sleeves are liars. Those sleeves scream mono white, and they're playing mono red. What a liar. Oh, they're playing Boros. Weird. That transforms, but that's not a big deal. We're really just holding out for something to Make Disappear. We can let them plink us for 2 for a couple of turns. If they just don't play anything, I'm allowed to play Haughty Djinn on this next turn. Yeah, that's not resolving, sir, and or madam. I think we do take out the Haughty Djinn here and try and let them survive. We see how it goes. I don't believe that Boros will have enough tools to kill a Haughty Djinn on curve here. We'll see. Especially if they just try and play another Siege Veteran, then Haughty Djinn now crows. And so now we're at the point of the game where we just hang out and vibe. They're essentially just here to play cards that will counterspelled out my opponent. Looks like they are playing some form of like Boros aggro, Boros soldiers potentially. I don't think Kabana's a soldier though, is he? He's a human shaman? Yeah, okay. On the plus side, we still have a Make Disappear, which is really good if they try and play some like wider, more damaging cards. We also have Thirst for Discoveries, which we can use to drop any number of cards into our graveyard. It gets its most value when you discard a basic land, because then it's basically draw 2, drop 1. As opposed to draw... Interesting. Virtuoso. Not what I was expecting, honestly. Phyrexian Dragon Engine. Let's drop a Djinn. Actually... Yeah, let's drop a Djinn and a Thirst for Discovery. Okay, bye. I don't know, maybe they're just tired of the tempo play. I just had to make a really important decision there as to whether or not I wanted to counter the Dragon Engine or not. Or if I just wanted to draw more cards. I think I was going to just draw more cards and then just like go for a win, essentially, quote-unquote win, by playing out my really cheap Tolarian Terror on the next turn. I could have done that by keeping my second Thirst and instead drop the Urza's Rebuff. And then drawn more cards with the other one. But it looks like it worked out anyways because my opponent was not happy. This is the case a lot when you're playing this deck and you're playing a little bit slower to think about it. GG's though. On the play, Impulse, Make Disappear. I like this. I like this hand. It's bad into other control decks, but it's pretty good into most other decks of Standard right now. Because we get to make the decision on turn 2 essentially to be like, okay, well, how do we do... How do we play this? Do we play the Make Disappear on what they play, or do we think that it's like, it's fine, we can let it go? We'll probably Impulse for a land, though. Let's try an Impulse for a land. Oh, they have Counter Magic. Spicy. That's not the card you counter, though. That's not the card you counter. It's not the card you counter. Impulse doesn't matter that much in this matchup. I'm assuming they're just blue-black control of some variety. Alright, well, let's try and make him counter something else. Yeah, that's why that's not what you counter. Let's drop a Thirst for Discovery and then the Make Disappear, shall we? Make Tolarian Terror really cheap. And then just kind of vibe it here. We could have played the Terror out, but I feel like they have counter magic that I want to play around, or they just have like powerful spells I want to play around. They may be playing my blue-black deck, which is somewhere on the channel. No. No, they're not. Sad. I don't play Shieldred in mine. We can play Terror here and protect it with Rebuff. And Negate. They probably have removal for it, but like Negate and Rebuff just really hold it down because they have to pay out the Ward 2, which means they can't play around with counter magic very well. Probably play Negate if they try and kill it. That's probably the better play, so that I can just hold up Rebuff for like a creature. Probably the play. Make them pay the Ward. And then Negate. You force them to pay that type of stuff out. You don't let them get away with not paying. And then you just kind of swing in. Should I have played the island so I could play both my cards? Potentially. Am I going to? No. The only thing that they have that really scares me is like maybe a Hullbreaker Horror. But I don't know if they will have it this fast and this soon. Oh, I bet I know what it is. Oh, this is absolutely what it is. This is a Blade Coil Serpent. Here it comes! That's very cute! That was toxic of me to phrase it like that, I know. Let's main phase Thirst because we need more cards desperately. Sure, yeah, that's fine. I wish I had drawn a Jin out of that, but Flow of Knowledge is really good here. It's very expensive, and that's why I wish I had drawn a Jin. But, oh, they got themselves an extra turn out of that. That's really good. They're probably playing around the idea that I have counter magic. Unfortunately, I don't. I used all of it already. I think I just bounce it to hand at this point to keep it safe. There's no reason to let it die. Zoop. Especially when I can replay it for 1 here. And let's draw a bunch. Discard 2 cards, discard an extra flow, and land. And we can Fading Hope it back again, or we can like Fading Hope like a Kraken, if they try and play a Kraken. A Hullbreaker Horror, by the way. Not just like any Kraken creature, like a Hullbreaker Horror in particular. Oh, are they gonna be... Oh, they have another Blade Coil! Nice! Go you, homie! If they do 4 black, I only have to discard 2 cards, which is very, very much a thing I can take care of. And I can just... Because I can just dump Impulse in a land. Actually, I could probably dump Impulse Consider. Let's go ahead and bounce it while it's on the stack. I need to discard 2 cards. Like I said, I think I dumped the island and then consider. So now we just hold up like counter magic a ton. And they have 1 open mana. They can't interact with my terror at all. They can play certain 1 mana spells, but they can't interact with my terror on the stack here. Not on the stack, sorry. Just in general. I have Ward 2, right? They're on a very short turn clock still. They might try and replay their guy. We Urza's rebuff it so we can hold up Make Disappear to play around their counter magic. Nope, we're just gonna Urza's rebuff that instead. They have 4 open mana, but we have a Syncopate, so you don't have to worry. Syncopate really gets around that. And then I think we Impulse here? I think we Impulse here. They clearly have something in hand. I don't know what it is, though. We grab a Jin. And we slam a Jin. Jin requires answers. Sure. I mean, I still kill you on next turn. I don't need to use my counter spells on that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They have 8 open mana, meaning they exactly play around to Make Disappear. But I can sack my Jin or my Terror. Probably want to sack the Jin because it's harder for them to kill the Terror. We'll probably sack the Jin to the Make Disappear here. Which does make Syncopate more expensive, but like, at best they play a counter spell, right? And Syncopate goes around to that perfectly. That leads me to believe they don't have any real counter magic here. Good game, opponent. Bonk. Mono blue, baby! This deck is really, really good. That's a really cool deck for my opponent. It was not the type of Dimir control that I play, but I liked it. It seemed pretty cool. I don't like Disfigure personally, but like it's still a good card. I love the inclusion of Blade Coil Serpent. This is a card I wish I included in more of my decks. I can't find a reason to over other better cards, but I cannot deny it is a very, very strong card. It does lots of stuff. It's very multifaceted. I don't want to make a Grixis deck focused around it. But I don't know if that'll actually work out in practice. Either GG's opponent. Opponent goes first, but we have so much good. Do I keep a 1-lander because I have so much good? I think I do. Oh, thank you. Thank you, game. Thank you. I appreciate that so much. Thank you. Golgari, interesting. Well, I don't have to worry about counter magic. Like disappear, you are perfect. Thank you. Get in here. Here comes their 3-drop. Alright, so I have to play around Graveyard Trespassers this game. I have to play around them really well because those will destroy my game plan. Fight rigging, interesting. We're just going to go ahead and negate that. Consider. I don't want a thirst right now. I want more lands. Or negates. Negates are good. Negates hit their fight riggings. I don't have an answer to creatures at the moment, but I do have answers to more fight riggings. Thankfully, that is exactly what they played. Augurs. Impulse to make terror cheaper and find some good, like... Urza's Rebuff, because I can play it and Tolarian Terror. Syncopate is an iffy one. Urza's Rebuff just hard counters something. And then we can Thirst for Discovery if they don't play anything that I need to care about. I could just Fading Hope it back to hand if they try and kill it here. That is always a play when you've got it down to 1 cost. I will counter that. No thank you. We'll play another one. Why not? We now have a basically 10-10 on board, putting them on a very short clock. And this is like their whole turn here. And we bounce it to hand. And now we Thirst. And we discard Djinn Impulse. Actually, no. We discard Impulse Terror so we can play Djinn. Because now we just hold up Urza's Rebuff. And if they're on a very, very short clock now. It's a 1-turn clock if they can... Okay. It's a 1-turn clock if they can't kill the Djinn. You want to go? Yeah, okay. I'm in a much better position than they are right now. I'm okay with that trade. Especially drawing into a flow of knowledge here. I don't think I play it, though. I think I have to play it on their instep in case they play something that's, like, terrifying. That is not terrifying. Yeah, I think we just slam Flow of Knowledge here. So we get to draw 6, discard 2. Which in this case is both our lands. And we just bounce this. They have some form of removal, it seems, from that priority stick. Don't need lands right now. We will just main phase this right now, because we just really need to start hitting stuff that matters. Which we did. Syncopate and Urza's Rebuff. Hopefully they don't have a Reanimator angle in that deck. Djinn, my baby. Alright, well they probably lose here. Simply because we have 2 Djinns and they can only draw 1 card. Okay, yeah, bye. That was a really lucky draw at the end there, but like that's why you run all those card draw angles. Hey, rank up to Plat 2. Nice. Unfortunately for my opponent, I just had all the answers. Sometimes that's just the case when you're playing into this deck. Like, sometimes they will just have all the answers. Like, I had the double negates and then they disappear. Had the Urza's Rebuff for the important stuff. Had the Fading Hopes for bounces. They played very well. They played around, like, as best they could. But, like, sometimes Mono Blue just has all the answers. GG's opponent. Alright, I go first with double Djinn, double make to... we keep. Why not? Why not? What's the worst that can happen? We kept a single lander before, and it worked out just fine. Oh, they're mono green. Be scared! Be scared! I mean, they're probably Gruul, actually. Oh, they're Selesnya. I said it wrong the other day, and people were mad at me. Oh, they're Simic! Okay, maybe an Ivy deck? Maybe an Ivy deck. I think we just, like, play the super long con here of just play around what they have. I don't think we're able to play out Haughty Djinn for quite a bit, unfortunately. So now I'm sad that I kept 2. But you can't win them all. Probably an Ivy deck. I can't imagine it's anything but an Ivy deck. Oh, security bypass. Bounce. I think I'm kind of right. Tamio safekeeping, that's cute. No. Impulse is good here. It allows us to play Jin here and not feel bad because we can just hold up Make Disappear in case they try and deal with the Jin. But we also have Impulse in case they just tap out to play their own stuff. Army of Transients is fine, that doesn't actually bother me. We will kill the Generous Visitor though. We don't want the Kami growing too large. I think we play our second Jin, honestly. We just start getting a big ol' flying pile of threats going. This is an incredibly dangerous play. I don't actually recommend doing this with the deck. Yeah, it's an Ivy deck. I was right. Okay. I was absolutely right. It's an Ivy deck. I wonder if they have counter magic. If they do, it's probably like just a Make Disappear. Or like a Tamio safekeeping. There's no reason for me to block that, by the way. Like, absolutely no reason for me to block that. They could have any form of pump spell in their hand. Or a fight spell or something. Yeah, that giant pause is like a dead giveaway. I think we play Impulse on our turn. Just to try and play around counter magic. As much as I wanted to grab the Flow of Knowledge, Urza's Rebuff is the play. Wing. We're just trying to put them on a short clock here. That's it. That's the name of the game. If they don't block, I might just go ahead and consider. Just to pump my gens more. No! We don't want Ivy to get that trigger. Unfortunately, we can't counter that, but we can just, like, make them not have it. They get hexproof until end of turn, but so what? Let's just go ahead and draw a bunch then. Those can go. That's lethal, by the way. I realized it after I discarded double things. I was like, wait a minute. It was one of the things on the back of my head of like, I draw this. Do I get lethal off of this? I did. That was pure luck. That was the thing that, like, because I decided to play it because I wanted to pump my gens more. Like, don't get me wrong. Playing the card was not the fluke, the accident, the lucky thing. Playing the card was on purpose. I wanted to pump my gens more to push my opponent as close to 0 as I could, because an Ivy deck is going to do the exact same thing to me on the next turn, and I'd already really committed to my attack. And my opponent had, like, really played out their hand, like, played out their idea. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to try and draw more, or maybe just, like, discard to pump my creatures more. I had to discard 2 non-land, or 2 instants and sorceries anyways, because of what I drew. So I ended up accidentally, quote-unquote, getting to lethal. I will absolutely not take credit for doing that on purpose. In terms of like, oh, I thought I was gonna get lethal out of it. It was just like, oh, I happened into lethal here. Very lucky, but still. GG's opponent, you probably would have killed me next turn. Alright, opponent's going first. Our villain art continues. I like this hand. Double Fading Hope is nice when you're on the draw. Technically speaking, I'd rather have, like, considers and stuff. That's fine. We don't care about a Phoenix Check. Phoenix Check is a very, very long clock. It is a 20-turn clock. We care more about whatever, like, bigger threats they play. Multiple Phoenix Checks really doesn't bother me. I think we bounce 1 to save a little bit of life. Flow of Knowledge is fine here. It's not good, but it's fine. Double Phoenix Check puts us on a slightly faster clock. We have 9 turns, and that's it. That is kind of scary into Mono Red, but if they're just drawing lands like this, I'm not really scared. Nope, they get to play that. That's really unfortunate for me. Let's go ahead and bounce 1 so they don't just get free hits in. Yeah, Make Disappear is a great draw here. Make Disappear is a lot easier to use and play around than, like, Syncopate. Syncopate's a little more difficult to use. If they just try and hard play... Yeah, we don't let them have that. That's fine. Unfortunately, we cannot play Flow of Knowledge on this next turn. We can just slam the Terror, which I think is pretty good. It gives us a nice, just like, on-board, deal-with-me thing, which they can't. Which most of their creatures cannot deal with the Terror. We might still lose, just because they can burn me out really efficiently. I don't have my gens. Yeah, see, like, stuff like this. Now I'm on a... If they draw more lightning strikes, I'm dead. Clock. There's no reason to not swing, I think. Okay, well there is. It's hasty creatures, but I have a Fading Hope in hand and a Syncopate in hand. And the Festivity's fine, sure. And the Festivity's fine, sure. That's clearly all they had. Now we draw a ton. And we pray. We are literally at prayer point. Okay, that's an answer. That is an answer, and we have Urza's Rebuff and Syncopate to help us out up here. No. And they are in combat, so bouncing one is good. Oh, I should have kept that on top for Thirst for Discovery. I'm seriously just in, like, hunt mode. One more turn and I am able to just straight up kill them, by the way. No. One more turn, and I win. They have to kill me now. If they don't kill me now, I win. Because the Phoenix chicks can't block. Yeah, that's lethal. Woohoo! Oh, my heart. That was a very tight game against Mono Red. Oh man, that was a very tight game against Mono Red. Holy cow, they nearly had it. Oh man, I'm very proud of the way I played around that. Usually Mono Red roasts me when I'm playing a tempo deck, because Mono Red is pretty fast right now. I mean, 7-turn clock, but like it's pretty fast, all things considered. Oh man, that was a little bit of luck, a little bit of skill. Yeah, I'm just bragging about myself. My opponent played really well though. They nearly had me. They made the right plays like over and over again. They did a really good job. But I had just the right plays at just the right times, it seems. GT's opponent, and yeah, on to the next. Okay, so this was probably a faster video than I originally anticipated, but we won a lot of games really fast. I believe I went 5-1. The one game I lost was, I kept a bad hand, and my opponent was in a mirror match. Like, my opponent was also playing mono blue tempo. So, yeah, I just lost that one hardcore. I kept a bad hand, thinking it might be a different deck, and it just happened to be a mirror match, and I just lost as a result. I didn't include it because it wasn't a very good game. It was over very fast, because, like, I just got, like, plowed out of the game, because they just had more counterspells. And they had more tempo. But yeah, I hope you saw how good this deck is. I think this deck, honest to God, has a chance at staying around in Phyrexia All Will Be One. I think it would have trouble with some of the new decks, like Venerated Rot Priest is a new card that's coming out, that when you target it with a spell, it gives you a poison counter. That can be really hard for Jin to deal with, because its only real removal is like Fading Hope. But yeah, I think... honestly, I think that this deck is still going to be just top tier. It's so simple to pilot. It's so simple to pilot in that, like, if you know the meta, you know what to counterspell, you know what to bounce, you know when to draw and when not to draw. And on top of that, it really is just like, make Jin big, swing, you know? I think it's a great deck, though. As much as I like to complain about it when, like, I'm on stream, which I am live at, the link to, I'm live on all the time, the link to which is in the description. You might not always see Magic gameplay there, but you'll see lots of other games as well. But yeah, I think this deck's great. I think this deck does a lot of good things, and I think it's a really powerful tempo deck. I'm curious to see how it'll evolve come Phyrexia, though, because I feel like there will be evolution of it. Maybe a little bit of oil counter synergy or something. But either way, thanks for hanging out and watching. If you liked the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope to catch you in the next one.